So here's our grocery row garden at 1 year and 4 months. We're in the summer right now, so everything's lush and green. We're getting great rains, and you can see the transformation. So let's walk through, and I'm going to talk you through all the plants that are growing well and tell you some of the modifications that we've made on our system. So first, as we come through on the trellis, we have some purple ube yams growing up our trellis, so that's a great calorie source, calorie crop. As we walk through, we've got some yard-long beans. This is our trellis. Longevity spinach is all over this system, basically an edible ground cover that we use. We've got our powder puff trees, which are pollinators and nitrogen fixers. We love that the cranberry hibiscus keeps coming back year after year. We've got all different types of sugar cane in the system. We've got our tropic beauty peach. And I ran an experiment. Over here I got the Florida Prince and the Tropic Beauty. And I ran an experiment. When I put them in the ground, they were the same size. This tree had fruit on it in the pot, and so did this one. What I did was I removed the fruit from this one, and I left the fruit on this one. And look at the difference between the size of the two peach trees. I don't know if you can tell, but this one's about 12 feet tall, full canopy, gave me 50 plus peaches this year. This tree looks a little bit sad, probably gave me about 3 or 4 peaches this year. So I really do believe that taking the fruit off the first year significantly helps the tree establish itself and leads to more fruit in the long run as well. So one of the things we're doing in this system now is we're kind of retrofitting it into more of an agroforestry system. So more dense, have plants that are edible, but also chop and drops. So this is our dwarf Orinoco, which is a plantain. We've brought that into the system in between our two peaches. You can see our yucca cassava growing over here, which is a great calorie source. And then we chop that back into the system. We've got pigeon peas that we throw all throughout the system. And of course, our papayas. We've got 2 red lady papayas that are starting to produce for the first time. They did take about a year, and I bought those from Echo, and they were probably about 2 feet tall. So it took a little while for them to start producing, and we're about to get our first papayas on those, so we're pretty excited. So we moved through the Tropic Prince, Florida Prince. I get the Tropic Beauty and the Florida Prince confused. But the Florida Prince, great peach for me here in 9B, just north of Tampa. Got tons of peaches off of it this year, really tasty. We've got this beautiful beauty berry, and I've been training it upwards. So instead of it sprawling out into the paths, I've cut it so that I created a vertical growth height. And you can see that it's gonna be absolutely loaded this year with all of its berries. Maybe we'll make some jam out of that. Let's keep moving through the system here. So this is a papaya that was grown from seed. And again, we're kind of retrofitting this system to make it more and more complex and dense. So as we look just through the different elements of the system, again, we've got our longevity spinach. We've got chayas that we tuck in here, pigeon peas. We've got a bunch of different peppers that are coming in for us, which is great. You can see we've got some of these little sweet peppers right here. We've got some of these orange hot peppers that are really tasty. They've got a great flavor to them. And right here we've got our Scarlet Beauty plum. We did get some pretty good plums off of that this year, so we're happy about that. I've got 2 apple trees, the Anna and the Dorset. Dorset is behind this powder puff right over here. And on the Dorset, I did actually get an apple this year, and it was spectacular. I was thinking about removing these trees, but just for that one apple that I got that was homegrown, it was totally worth it. So I'm keeping those apple trees. Over here, we put in a new banana. This is the SH3640 that came from Love is the Source Farm. I appreciate those little corms and brought those in. See some beautiful butterflies in the system. We've got our marigolds that are just self-seeding. I didn't even plant those this year, so just a great pollinator, and also helps with getting rid of some of the insects in the system. Over here, we've got our African blue basil. This is a must for pollinators. I've propagated this plant probably 20 plus times. I give all my friends one of these plants. foolproof, resistance, resilient, edible, medicinal, pollinator, low maintenance, you name it. It's just such a great plant. Highly, highly recommend it. Got a moringa growing here. We've got a lot of different katuk. We've got the green variety and the variegated variety. And there's our Dorset apple right there. We got our second trellis, and we got some yard-long beans coming in right here. All right, let's start to look around the second half of the system. We've got our Seminole pumpkins here. We got 35 pounds off of our Seminole pumpkins already, just in end of June. Here we are with our loquat. This is a golden nugget. It's still establishing its canopy. Got probably 15 loquats off that this year that were pretty tasty. More moringa. So really, again, I just really tried to retrofit this system to make it dense. So you can tell right now, look at this path. I mean, it's literally, I have to use a pruners or a machete to get through these paths. That's what I wanted to do. Instead of having to always bring in mulch, or this is grass from my bagger on my mower, and I'll throw that down as kind of a green manure. But instead of having to bring so much into the system, I really wanted to overplant it and then use everything as chop and drop to feed that back to the system and basically not have to fight with weeds. So that's why when you look, this is a bed right here, and you can see we've got loquat, pigeon peas, moringa, we've got our pumpkins growing behind it. Back here we have the Okinawa spinach, the purple variety. We've got the variegated katuk, longevity spinach, ice cream bean up top. You can just see how dense it is, and that's exactly what we want to do with this system. And then another thing I've been a big fan of this year is every seed that I eat, I just stuff them in all of these systems. So any fruit that I eat, I just throw the seeds in, and if it grows, great. If it doesn't, nothing lost. So let's keep moving. Ice cream bean, I air layered this year, and I got 2 different air layers off the ice cream beans successfully. That was really cool. We've got our Callaloo amaranth, and of course this self seeds. I never have to plant this anymore, but it's great to have that just as a cooking green if I need it. Over here, okay, so we used to have an M4 mango right here, but just looking at the system, we're in the back row, I realized how that was just not going to work long term as far as it needing adequate sunlight and me being kind of in between oak trees and the front of the system, even though these do run north and south. So I actually removed the M4. I put that in the front yard. I'll show you in another video. I got a whole mango grove that I created up there. But right here, we've got a day avocado. So supposed to be a really good avocado, relatively smaller variety. And we've got that in the back row here. And we're gonna let that have a little more vertical growth to do better in this system. So here we got our ground cover of sweet potato. I literally just walk on it because they're all established in the beds, and it's literally all over. Over here, we've got our apple banana, Manzano, and I propagated this from another patch of apple bananas I have. It's one of the best bananas I've ever tasted, so I wanted to bring that into the system. And again, basically what I did was in between all the fruit trees. So we've got Brogdon avocado there, and I just showed you the day avocado over there. So in between all those, we've got some of our overstory with the papaya, but also we wanted some green manure chop and drop with the banana. So really starting to complexify and densify, if you will, our system. That way there's no bare ground in here. So keep moving along. Like I said, we've got our Brogdon avocado underneath our Red Lady papaya. My Brogdon hasn't really taken off yet over here. It's been a tricky one for me. I got to be honest, avocados have not been the strongest growers in my system, even though we are well above ground. So I don't think it's a wet feet situation with the avocado. I know that my buddy Pete at Green Dreams always says that the avocados like a little bit of shade when they're getting established. That's why I've got the papaya over it. So just really waiting for these to pop. I know there's the good old saying of the first year they sleep, the second year they creep, and the third year they leap. So I'm waiting for that second and third year for these to get going. keep moving through. I've got another ice cream bean. This is actually a different variety than the first one. And I've got all kinds of little stuff over here. So back there is a chocolate pudding fruit, black sapote. And then somewhere hiding in here, I don't know if I'll be able to find it. Oh, you can see it right there. So I've got this little citrus growing from seed. And that's something that I'm trialing, is I know that citrus really struggles with the greening. So I'm gonna try to bring in some new genetics growing from seed and just see if I can establish something that's a little more resistant to the greening. Grew up on citrus in my hometown of Land O'Lakes, and just really wanna bring more citrus back to Florida that can thrive. Got more of those peppers thriving over here. This is our Turk's Cap hibiscus, which is a great plant, easy to propagate. Get lots of edible flowers from that, really enjoy it. And then over here, we've got our Nishikawa avocado, kind of the same situation, just kind of lagging behind, but waiting for that to take off. Still got some nice green leaves, so just waiting for that to really establish. Then I added another banana over on this side. This is the Venti Kohal, which is supposed to be one of the fastest growing bananas. So I brought that into the system again, not only as food, but as chop and drop and green manure. And then over here at the end of our system, we have got turmeric growing, we've got ginger growing, we've got some watermelons that are starting to establish as well. So it's a nice little system over here. And guys, that is the grocery row garden. I love showing the updates on this system and the transformation of how it really comes to life during the summer months. We've been really happy with how much food we've been able to get out of this over the last year plus. We continue to see new things come in, like our papayas. We got a lot of peaches and plums this year. We did get an apple, which we were excited about. Cassava, we got bananas now, sugar cane, and throughout the years and in the future, we're going to continue to get calories from this system. So can't say enough good things about this.